back to the Beer Sherpa, everyone. My name is Danimal, and today we are going barrel aged for the first time. Super excited about it. Before I get too far into the video, please make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. Please make sure that you do so. That way we begin having conversations about what you'd like to have at a brewery, as well as conversations about our beer breakdowns as well. So, barrels, beer, they go hand in hand. Beer has been in barrels for centuries, and today's market has been really revolving around stouts. Stouts make great beers to be barreled because, well, stouts are glorious. And stouts are malty, and they're roasty, and they're chocolatey, and there's no better combination there than woodiness as well as maybe a little bit of booziness. Now, the beer that we're going to be talking about that has been aged in a barrel is none other than Square Brewing's Fudgy Britches, which is a pastry stout. Pastry stouts tend to be big beers that are rich and decadent and sweet and chocolatey and roasty. And the one that we have on tap is actually a fudge brownie pastry stout. And it's gone over super well. And so the brewers decided, you know what? We've secured a barrel. Let's give it a shot and let's see what happens. Now, the barrel that they secured is, yes, a bourbon barrel, but this bourbon barrel came from a meadery. And what was stored in this barrel was a blueberry mead. And so we were really kind of excited about the possibilities of utilizing this barrel and what could actually happen to this particular stout. So after 8 long months of waiting, this barrel was pulled out of, or the beer was pulled out of the barrel, and the brewers decided to add a bit of vanilla to it, dash of coffee, as well as some more blueberries. And what we have is a very, very delicious beer that I'm really, really excited to break down with you guys. So, without further ado, let's take a look at this Bad Larry and see what happens. Now, if this were a normal glass of Fudgy Britches, the biggest thing that I would be pulling from it right now, and the glass really isn't even close to my nose right now, what I would normally be getting would be chocolate, fudge. But I'm not getting that with the barrel age. What I'm getting is actually roasty. I'm getting barrel. And it's actually quite nice. And actually, if smell it, I'm getting chocolate now, but it's like a super dark chocolate that I'm getting, which I absolutely love dark chocolate. So this is gonna go really, really well. I'm looking forward to this. So without further ado, let's take a look at the grain build and see what the guys did. Then we're gonna take a look at the hops as well as the yeast. We're also gonna talk about some adjuncts that they decided to add in as well. All right, grains. So the grains this time around are going to be plentiful. And the brewers really had the bulk of their grain with the Canada Malting 2-row. This is a roasted malt. And I know that we've mentioned roasted malt before, but again, with the roasted malt, you're going to get the roastiness of the malt itself, but you're also going to get some aspects of chocolate and coffee involved as well. Now, the bulk of the grain build went to the 2-row. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 additional malts that were utilized in different capacities. And some of them, 100 pounds here, and others it was 20 pounds. So they were being real nitpicky about what kind of notes that they wanted to get out of just the normal batch of fudgy. And so they added in a chocolate malt. Now, as a chocolate malt, of course, you know what kind of notes you're going to get. You're going to get chocolate, and you're going to get coffee. They added in roasted barley, and that roasted barley, you're going to get more roasted flavors. They added in caramel malt. Now, caramel malt, of course, you're going to get notes of caramel on there, but they're going to be a little bit overpowered, in my opinion, with the chocolate and the coffee. You add, once again, some Munich malt, more caramel, but also honey and bready notes, which I think would make sense with the mead barrel that we got. They added in a Great Western brew malt, which again is going to help with the layering and the depth of this particular beer. And then finally, they added in some midnight wheat, which is for body, flavor, and color. Now, before we get into actually talking about the hop that they used, which only used one hop and very, very little of it, we need to talk adjuncts. Adjuncts are things that brewers will toss in order to get mostly either a certain mouthfeel or a certain clarity or crispness to a beer. In this case, Matt and Dylan decided to use flaked oat, and this is going to bring out a beautiful body to this beer and a silky mouthfeel. On top of that, the boys also added in dextrose. This is a type of sugar that's added. It's very, very similar to glucose, if not basically glucose, or a sugar substitute that is derived from corn or even wheat. And they utilize this in order to, of course, bring some sweetness to it, because after all, it is a pastry stout, so we did want to add that additional layering in. All right, let's hop to it and talk hops. The boys only utilized one hop, and that would be the Columbus hop. And I was texting with Dylan this morning, and I asked him, hey, how much of this particular hop did you use? And his answer was very, very little, and it amounts to about 2 pounds. And he said the only reason that they utilized so little of this particular hop is they're really only using it for a little bit of bitterness. Because after all, it's a pastry stout. Pastry stout is not meant to be hoppy, folks. It's meant to be malty, sweet, decadent, but also layered. Last but not least, we have the yeast. The yeast that the boys used was the California ale yeast, and yes, they're utilizing an ale yeast because stouts are actually ales. This particular yeast is extraordinarily versatile. It can basically be used in practically any and every style of beer. It's kind of cool. This particular yeast is really used for crisp and clean characteristics in a beer. It has a very, very mild hoppy note, but it shouldn't really matter because malt is the star of the show here along with the barrel. That yeast is simply there to eat away at some of them sugars to produce alcohol. So I have had Fudgy sitting on the table here for around 20 minutes, and I'm looking forward to it because stouts and porters, darker beers, darker styles, tend to really, really shine when they're warmed up a little bit. And so this beer is probably sitting at, I don't know, maybe 45 degrees right now, which is perfect in my eyes, and it should really bring out a lot of the roastiness, maybe some of the barrel, and hopefully more of that blueberry, which I'm looking forward to. I've had this beer cold, and it's really more chocolate forward, and blueberries are kind of on the back. So I'm wondering whether, as warm as it's at right now, whether that's going to change. I'm hoping that it does, so here we go. Again, roasty aroma, touch of sweetness to it. Cheers. Silky. Very, very silky mouthfeel. But the first thing that I actually noticed was not the chocolate like I expected. The first thing that I actually noticed was the blueberry. And the blueberry just kind of stays consistent throughout, but that chocolate kind of joins it in the middle, and you get some of the barrel through and through, but more along the lines on the back. Not really picking up too much on the mead, in my opinion. Maybe some of the sweetness of the honey, but quite a nice beer through and through, and we are selling it like hotcakes right now. We really honestly are. We're going through a ton of it, which, you know, makes sense. It's January. It's it's winter weather. It's stout and porter weather. So there we have it. Delicious barrel-aged Fudgy Britches. Well, friends, there you have it. Another episode of the Beer Sherpa in the books. Fudgy Britches, blueberry pastry stout. Man, this thing just packs a punch. You've got the big chocolate notes, the big coffee notes that are in there. But that blueberry just really, really comes out the warmer this beer gets. You get the sweetness of the vanilla. You get some of the sweetness of the mead and the honey. It's so cool. It's so decadent. It's perfect on a day like this where it's snowing. There's 6 inches of snow outside. But man, hopefully you can come by the brewery, grab yourself a glass of this. It is going very, very quickly. We only have so much of it. We do sell it in crawlers to go. They are going to be more expensive because, after all, it is a barrel age, but that's what you can kind of expect. Normal Fudgy Britches is served on a nitro line, so we cannot do crawlers of it, but I know that the big bosses and the brewers are looking to do 4-packs to go of Fudgy Britches itself someday soon. I have seen the labels, so I know that it is in the works. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to you joining me next time when we dive into a brand new beer on the menu that I had the glorious privilege of naming myself. So join us next time, and until then, Prost.